Yo, what's up, Broncos country? How's it going tonight, guys? So me and Muhammad are back to talk about some things that happened over the past week. Of course, the Jalen Waddle trade. We're going to go over, the division, the AFC West. We're going to give our predictions on what we think the AFC West, who's going to come in first, second, third, fourth. This kind of touches on what all these analysts have been saying the past couple of weeks about, everything about how they think the Chiefs are going to win it, the Chargers are going to win it, Broncos are going to come in third. We're going to talk about how each team has gotten either better or worse in the division and go from there. But if you guys could please like, comment, subscribe on this video. Also hit that bell notification so you know when we go live. Share this with your friends, your family, anybody who's a Broncos fan or football fan in general, just to get this video out there so we can get some more subscribers in here. Thank you guys. So, Muhammad, before last week, I want to get your thoughts on this. Before last week, we saw the Broncos, cut Dre Greenlaw, at the start of free agency. They cut Dre Greenlaw. They re-signed a lot of their own guys. Like the majority of them they re-signed, if not all. I think there's like maybe one or two players they didn't bring back. And then they also restructured. Who was it? I think it was Quinn Miners. And then the other one was Jonathan Cooper. They restructured.
Cooper, yep.
Putting up more cap space, after they did all that, cut Greenlaw, signed all their players, restructured those two guys. They had about $22 or $23 million in cap space. And people were talking at that point like, hey, the Broncos are getting ready to make something big, a big move here because they just cleared up some cap space. Me, I was kind of on the edge on it. I'm like 22, million, because I'm like about 11 to 12 million of that is going to be going towards the rookies in the rookie class this year. This is before, of course, the big news that came out this past week. But even like I don't know if you watched the arena earlier in the week with Skip Bayless, Talib, and all them.
Talib, yeah.
But Talib was saying last weekend that, dude, the Broncos are going to be making a big move. I'm telling you right now, they're going to get an explosive playmaker. He's like, I don't know who it's going to be or what, when it's going to be, but the Broncos will be getting a big explosive playmaker. Just watch. I guarantee you. Sure as shit, he was right.
Yeah.
I think it was Tuesday. Was it Tuesday or Monday, Muhammad, off the top of my head? I want to say it was Tuesday. The news broke mid-morning. Broncos trading for star wide receiver Jalen Waddle from the Miami Dolphins. And when I first saw this news, the first thing I thought of it, I'm like, yeah, okay. I don't think the Dolphins are going to be that stupid to trade their last good weapon after they just signed Malik Willis, a guy that's been talked up all offseason as the best quarterback in free agency this year. I'm like, they're not going to trade Jalen Waddle. There's no way. They're going to keep him for him to at least have one weapon. I scrolled through Twitter, and after about the third one, I was like, holy crap. But then I saw, I'm not too worried about the compensation, but the Broncos traded a first, pick 30th overall, a third, and swap fourth round pick. So basically, the Broncos traded a first and a third for Jalen Waddle. What were your thoughts on this, Mohammed?
Eddie, you know how hot I was last week when we had our podcast. I was pissed off at the Broncos. I was saying that they haven't done enough and all the teams are getting better. I was getting really worried about it. And then this comes up. I was shocked. I didn't see it coming. I'm very happy. Actually, it's exactly what we needed to get Bonix a weapon. It's exciting, and it's not just the thing is, Eddie. It's not just the player. It's by Jalen, by him coming to our team. Now everybody else is better. Now Sutton is better. Now Mims is better. Now all of our wide receiver room is better. Why? Because what are you going to do now? Are you gonna double up who? Jalen? You gonna double up Sutton? What are you gonna do? Pick your poison. He takes the top of the defense. He's extremely fast, very shifty, really good with the routes. Perfect player. I can already see that connection between him and Bonix, Eddie. This changes a lot for our team, And I actually was surprised because now all the media, and I heard Stephen A. Smith saying, that said the Broncos going to win the AFC again. He's like, who's going to beat him? I start hearing all these things like, wow. And then on the other hand, of course, you hear the negative stuff about the Broncos, but very happy, Eddie. I know some people were saying that we gave up too much. I don't care, about the compensation. To me is like, it's worth it. If it's going to help our team, it's worth it. I don't care about the picks, honestly. We needed this. Um, Going to the draft, we have addressed a big issue with the receivers now. Now going to the drafts, I agree with you, Eddie. You're probably going to go defense, first two, 3 picks. I would like to see a tight end, even if we get one that we can just develop, because I don't think Evan Ingram is going to play for that long. I mean, a year or two or so. But I'm very happy about it, Eddie. It changes our offense. And I'm happy because Champagne is not going to be calling the plays neither. It's going to be Davis Webb. So this just gives him a lot of toys to play with, Eddie. So let's go. Go ahead.
Yeah, last weekend before this happened, you were very upset last week that the Broncos really didn't make any moves, to start a free agency, except for signing their own players. And me, I wasn't happy, but I wasn't upset. I'm like, you know what? They're bringing back the guys that they had last year. They brought back McMillan, Singleton, Stranad. They brought back J.K. Dobbins was a big one. They brought back pretty much their entire tight end room. And I sat here and said, I'm not going to sit here and say, I was mad or I was happy, but I was just like, they made the AFC Championship game last year with the roster they have now. There's only 2 players they really lost this offseason, one of which they cut, and that was Dre Greenlaw. But to be fair, Dre Greenlaw, he was good, but he wasn't a dire need for the Broncos last year. We missed him more than half the season last year, and we were still winning football games. His defense was still elite without him. Yeah. So I was like, I didn't really consider that a loss. So the biggest loss to me was the John Franklin Myers one. And the Broncos bring back every single player from that team last year, except for maybe the exception of 1 or 2. I think PJ Locke was the main big one that didn't come back. He went to, what was it, Dallas, I think?
Yeah, I believe so.
With Cowboys.
Yeah, somebody, yeah.
So I was just like, the Broncos, they're not too worried. I think they got enough picks. They got 8, 9 picks in the draft this year. They brought back a lot of their guys. I mean, they made it to the AFC Championship game with this roster. And it wasn't because of the lack of, linebacker, lack of defensive, defensive line or defensive end. Hell, even weapons for that point. It wasn't because of the lack of that. It was because we didn't have Bo Nix. I'm sorry. We have Bo Nix. We make the Super Bowl. And I honestly think we beat the Seahawks if we have Bo Nix. So that's why I wasn't too upset. I wasn't really upset at all or happy. I was just like, I did want a big splash move, of course. Anything, you got free agency. It's the only football you got going on right now. It's can the Broncos just do something?
Something, yeah.
Make it exciting? It wasn't to me, it wasn't about, making the team better. I'm like, this team's good enough if Bo Nix is healthy to make a damn Super Bowl and win it with the current roster. It was just, man, it's freaking free agency. You see all these other teams making moves. Hell, even if they would have traded somebody away, I would have been happy. Just to see something.
Action, some kind of action.
Yeah. So, but I wasn't upset about it. But again, I'm not upset about the draft picks either. I mean, for God's sake, you got Jalen Waddle, one of the best receivers. He's only 20. I think right now he's only 27. He doesn't turn 28 until I think November or December of this coming up season. So, and the Broncos, Miami Dolphins are paying him most of his contract. The Broncos, I think, are only paying him $4 million this year. They're not paying him much. And then I think next year it's 30-something million, and the year after, which is I think a void year for Jalen Waddle, 2028, or I think it's another. It's 32 or 33 million.
He's gonna get an extension, I think, next season.
Well, that's the thing. I don't know what's gonna happen with Jalen Waddle. Of course he's gonna be on the roster this season. Of course he is. $4 million. Yeah, you're gonna pay that and keep him. Duh, you traded for him for a reason. But this is my thing. We talked about it last week, Mohamed. We know for a fact that the Broncos, and Bo Nix plays really well again this year. They can extend him as early as next offseason if Bo Nix has another really good year. And now with Jalen Waddle, he probably will have another really good year. They're going to want to extend Bo Nix as early as possible to make sure before the salary cap goes up and that quarterback market explodes. They're going to want to pay him and try to keep him, not have to pay him as much. So the biggest contract extension next offseason for the Broncos is going to be Bo Nix. He's going to get done next offseason. I guarantee you that. He will. because they're going to want to pay him before, like I said, the quarterback market explodes and it gets really, really expensive. But going back to Jalen Waddle, yeah, you were right, Muhammad. Holy crap. This makes everybody on offense better. This is going to make the run game better. This is going to make Sutton better. It's going to make Marvin Mims better. It's going to make Troy Franklin, Pat Bryant. It's going to make all these guys better. Evan Ingram, because if you try to press, you don't get your hands on Jalen Waddle and you're pressing him, or even if you don't press him, if you don't get your hands on him, he's going to blow by you.
He will. He's
fast. So, yeah, this is just going to overall make the whole offense better and just gives Bo Nix another weapon. And like you said, pick your poison. Who are you going to double? You going to double Waddle, or are you going to double Cortland Sutton? Mm-hmm. Now, if I was a defensive coordinator for a team facing the Broncos offense, I'd be like, I'm going to double Waddle, because I said it before and I will say it again. I love Cortland Sutton. You know I do. I love him. I got his jersey. But the problem is, like, if Cortland Sutton's literally having to battle for the ball because someone is just draped on him, he's going to come down with the catch.
Yep.
It's going to be one-on-one. Cortland Sutton's going to get open. He's going to drop the damn ball, and you're going to be like,
yeah, that's exactly what it is, Eddie. He needs to be challenged. If it's too easy, he's not going to catch it.
Yeah, he needs to be at least somewhat challenged, because if he's not, and it's like an easy pitch and catch for him, the ball will hit him right in the hands, and he'll just be like, and you're just like, come on, Court. A 3rd and freaking 7, and all you had to do is catch the ball, and we get a first down. Because I don't know. It's just going to drive. I'm once again not trying to hit on Cortland Sutton, but that's just the facts of the beast. Like, if you watch the games last year, it was like the easiest catches imaginable. He would just drop, and you're like, why? So, but with all that said, the Jalen Waddle thing, great trade. And you talked about the picks, Muhammad. Just like the Los Angeles Rams, F them picks.
Pretty much.
Because basically, like I said, you swap 4th rounders. You actually got a better 4th round pick back than what you had initially. I think you had pick 130 something in the 4th round. Now you got pick 111. And you trade a 3rd and the 1st, which is the 30th overall pick. So basically you traded a 1st and a 3rd for Jalen Waddle, which I don't think is that expensive. I really don't. And the reason why I say that is because basically your 1st round pick was like a high 2nd rounder, and your 3rd round pick was like a high 4th rounder.
True.
Because the Browns were picking at pick 30 this year. And the one thing I will say is, like, a lot of people have been talking about this, not just Broncos, streamers or YouTubers, but even people in the media. It's like, who are you going to pick at 30? What weapon are you going to, who was it? Mekhi Lemon, I think his name is. I think he's like one of the best receivers in this coming up draft. They're like, by pick 30, he's probably going to be gone anyway. And he's just, you got a speed demon, but it's like he's going to be gone by pick 30.
Mm-hmm. You might as well just trade down, Eddie. Seriously, if you're picking that late in the 1st round, trade down to the 2nd round. Get some extra.
Well, either trade down or trade it for a proven commodity, which is what the Broncos did. They traded their 1st round and their 3rd rounder for a proven commodity that's only 27 years old.
These are your options.
And it's like everybody I've talked to outside of Bronco fans and Broncos country, some of them, the national media is even saying the same thing. All the analysts are saying the same. It's like, who are you going to get at pick 30? That's better than Jalen Waddle. You ain't getting nobody better than Jalen Waddle at pick 30. You're not. So the Broncos traded a 3rd, which is basically almost a 4th, and a 1st, basically almost a 2nd rounder. They trade because they say after pick 15, after the first 15 players go in the draft, you're basically just taking a shot in the dark, and all those players are ranked basically like 2nd round players.
True.
Basically, the reason why people only grade them as 1st rounders is because they have to fill it. There's 32 teams in the 1st round picking. They have to grade them as 1st rounders because there's another freaking 17 picks. So they have to be graded as 1st rounders. Even though they're not, they're probably most likely a 2nd round pick. But they're basically saying if you don't pick within the top 15 in the draft, you're really not getting a 1st round player. You're getting a 2nd round player with a 1st round pick. So with that being said, it's like you trade a 2nd rounder, and you can say a 3rd or 4th rounder for, Jalen Waddle, which I would do every day, 2 times every day, and 5 times on Sunday. I would do that. So, because Jalen Waddle is only 27, he's not going to be 28 until like December of this year, I think. Either December or November. He won't be 28 until then. And like usually players are still good until they're about 30. And that usually about 30 is when, after 30, they start kind of going downhill. He's still got like another 3 years. So you got a great player for, honestly, a pick that you're probably not going to get a better player for, with in the draft anyway. You got a proven commodity, which is a good thing. Now, I'm happy about the Jalen Waddle trade. Gives Bo Nix another weapon. It makes everything so much easier for everybody else on offense, like Ingram, Sutton, like you said, Mims, Pat Bryant, Troy Franklin. It makes everything so much easier for these guys. And the next thing I want to ask you, Mohammed, is I was seeing this talking point a lot throughout the week too. It's like if Jalen Waddle basically went for a third and a first round pick, what is A.J. Brown going to go for? Now, A.J. Brown's a little bit older, but there's been a lot of talk with Jalen Waddle that he's not really a one because he played behind Tyreek Hill for so many years. I think Jalen Waddle is a one. I think he's a low-end, middle-of-the-tier one.
He's one in the Broncos, Eddie. I see it depends on what team he goes to, so people are not thinking about that,
But A.J. Brown is a true number one. So if Jalen Waddle went for a first and a third, A.J. Brown's probably going to go for at least a first and a second, if not two first. What are your thoughts on that, Mohammed?
I agree with you, Eddie. I agree with you. And see, Eddie, when when the Broncos started restructuring the players, I honestly was worried that they're going to go after A.J. Brown. And I don't know if the Broncos actually had interest or not, because not because of his talent. He's a diva wide receiver. And that's something we didn't even mention. Jalen is not, He's a very selfless player. So he's perfect for our locker room. But yeah, it would have been at least a first and a second. And his contract. I don't know what his contract situation is.
I haven't looked his contract up either. So I think he's got a couple of years left.
Yeah, but that's probably why he did not get traded yet. I don't think the Eagles want to keep him, Eddie, with all these issues they had with him last season. Maybe we'll see a trade during the draft, but definitely they're going to ask for more than that. Even Pickens, Pickens, he got the franchise tag.
Yeah, the Cowboys haven't signed him to an extension yet, but that could come later in the offseason, or they could trade him. But it's funny you said that about A.J. Brown. Maybe he could possibly get traded during the draft. That's what happened to him last time. The Titans traded him during the draft to the Eagles a few years back.
Maybe it's going to happen again. They might get desperate, say, hey, take him.
If A.J. Brown gets traded this offseason, it's going to be between now and the draft. Because I don't think a team's going to trade for him after the draft. Because the Eagles, they're going to want those draft picks like before the draft.
And that drop is going to the price is going to drop, Eddie. It's not going to be the same.
No. So maybe like if the Eagles are, I don't think the Eagles are going to be bad this year, but if they don't trade him by the draft, I don't see A.J. Brown getting traded until next offseason. I don't see him getting traded by the trade deadline because the Eagles, I think, are going to be competitive this year in the AFC or the NFC East. Mm-hmm. They're not going to trade him if they're playing good. If they're winning the division and they got a good record and they're playing well this year, you think they're going to trade him during the regular season? No. Yeah, keep him. So if Brown's not traded by the draft, then I don't think he's going to get traded until next year during the offseason. I could be wrong, but I would think the Eagles would want the picks this year.
You would think.
If they got rid of A.J. Brown. So we'll have to wait and see. I'm not going to say it's not possible. It could be. We'll just have to wait and see. But it would be funny if he got traded during the draft, kind of like a couple of years ago when he got traded to the Eagles during the draft. But before we get into our other topic, Mohammed, I wanted to ask you this question too. What are your thoughts? Like, I'll give you my opinion after yours, but what are your thoughts on this? Like, the Dolphins bring in Malik Willis. They cut Tyreek. They cut Tua. They cut Bradley Chubb. I think they traded Micah Fitzpatrick to the Jets for a 7th-round pick. The guy's like 29. You could have got more than a 7th-round pick out of him, dumbass Dolphins. But then they traded Waddle, their last elite weapon, after they brought in Malik Willis. Now, what do you think? What do you think about the Dolphins making this move? And how do you think, if you were Malik Willis right now, how would you feel?
Eddie, they're tanking, but they're definitely tanking. But I mean, it's terrible, Eddie. I feel horrible for Willis. I honestly do. Like, I mean, you bring him in and he's like, okay, now he gets his opportunity and stuff, and then you're gonna go ahead and trade this player. So I don't think they're trying to be competitive. I understand why. You know, they're trying to rebuild. They're thinking about next off season, right? Not this season. They don't care. So that's good for us that we got Waddle, right? But I don't think they're trying to win, Eddie. They're going to rebuild through the draft.
155. I think they have 170 something million in dead cap this year.
My God. So yeah, they're probably going to start getting some key pieces on the draft, Eddie. I don't think they're going after a quarterback this season. They say next season is going to be, or next draft rather, there's going to be it's going to be quarterback heavy draft. So they're really thinking about that. Yeah. Oh, definitely. That's gonna be great. So they're really thinking about that. But this draft, maybe get some some all linemen. You know, get a wide receiver, build your defense. You know, that's it. But they're definitely tanking.
If I was Malik Willis, I'd be pissed. I'd be real. I mean, the only weapon he really has now is Achane. And even Achane, if I was him, I'd be pissed. I'd be like, why the hell are you trading all the great players to keep me fucking here? Like, what the hell?
He's really young too, isn't he, Eddie? Achane?
25, 24.
Wow.
I think. I mean, I guess. Well, I mean, a smart team, they would keep him around for a rebuild. I'm just saying, from Achane's standpoint, it's like, I'm the only fucking weapon on this offense now.
They're gonna suck. They're gonna be terrible.
You at least kept Waddle, or somebody. But as for Malik Willis, if I was him, I'd be pissed. I'd be like, I could have went and signed with the Arizona Cardinals. Like, he's trying to make a resurgence in his career. The Titans gave up on him. He goes to, Green Bay. He has a great couple of games. I think, like 5 or 6 games he played, and he played well.
He did.
And he's trying to, resurrect his career. And in Miami, you could have signed there, been there, because I think it's only like a 2-year deal for him. And if you would have had Waddle, at least you would have had a shot. Because you at least would have still had a wide receiver 1 or at least some type of weapon on the outside. Nope. He goes there and they just get rid of Waddle right after he gets there. Well, he'd be like, hey, man, I could have went to the Arizona Cardinals. I would have had at least, I would have had Connor in the backfield. I would have had Trey McBride tight end. I would have had Marvin Harrison and Michael Wilson.
Yep. He
would have had weapons in Arizona and really could have helped his career. Maybe he would have got a big fat contract, a second contract from the Cardinals. He could have been their starter, even though the Cardinals had the third overall pick this year.
They tricked him, Eddie. They definitely tricked him because that's not what.
I'd be pissed.
When he signed, he was thinking that at least I got Waddle, I got Achane. I mean, he's thinking he's got something to work with, but now he really doesn't.
Dude, they traded Waddle before the ink was even dried on that damn contract for him. Yep. That's what I'm saying. If I was Willis, I'd be so fucking – because I guarantee you, if Willis goes in there and says, I'd love to join the Dolphins. What do you guys offer? Oh, yeah, we got Jalen Waddle. We got Achane. We're going to get rid of Tyreek. We're going to get rid of some of these players, eat some dead cap, and get some, draft capital so that way we, can, add some players to this team. Because especially a guy like Malik Willis, who's just, like I said, trying to resurrect his career. What do you think he wants to do this year? Do you think he wants to tank, or do you think he wants to win and prove that he belongs and can be a starter?
Because he wants to get paid, Eddie. Yeah, he wants to get paid too. So,
and they're like, okay, yeah, we got Jalen Waddle, we got Devin Achane, Tyreek Hill is going to be gone, but we'll still have at least a couple of solid weapons here in Waddle and Achane that you'll be able to utilize and help you grow. Before the ink was even dry on his contract after he signed, Waddle's out the door. Now, as a Broncos fan, thank you for Waddle, Miami.
Yes,
you're stupid.
Absolutely.
I honestly believe you're a retarded franchise because you brought in a quarterback that everybody was hyping up all offseason, and you literally take away his last weapon. Now, people are going to say, well, they got 2 first-round picks. They can get, a weapon in the draft. Yeah, well, they also got to get offensive line. They got to get a tight end, a wide receiver. They got to build their defense. They got rid of their best secondary player in Fitzpatrick and got a 7th.
I don't know why they traded him, honestly. It doesn't make sense to me.
Well, even if they traded him, they probably could have got a 4th out of the guy at least.
Yeah. Who did he go to?
The Jets. They traded him to a division rival.
Yeah, they're stupid. They're very stupid.
And then they get rid of Bradley Chubb. I think they still got Chop Robinson, but like their whole defense needs a complete damn overhaul. Like you have no defense now. You got no weapons on the outside. You're gonna for the Dolphins, they're tanking. This is a clear and obvious tank to anybody that knows football.
Yep.
But to Malik Willis, it's like I'm trying to resurrect my career and I want to win. But now you're not giving me a defense or any weapons to do that with. Because now you're going to bring a bunch of rookies in here, and even if they're good in a few years, they're probably not going to be very good their rookie year. They're probably going to be learning on the job, and it's going to take a while.
And then he's going to get blamed for it if they're not good.
Yep. Because we know, oh my God, you're so right, Muhammad. Because we know in the NFL when a team is so bad, even if Malik Willis plays he plays good, but he has a lot more turnovers. Mm-hmm. You can tell he's playing good, but it's just. The offensive line, the receivers ain't catching the ball. Offensive line ain't blocking. He's just getting brutalized out there. He's going to be sitting there like, I'm just going to retire. Screw this crap.
Exactly. Going to get killed.
And I think he's like 27. He signed, like I said, I think a 2 or 3 year deal with Miami. So basically, he's either going to be with Miami until he's 29 or 30.
And then he's going to be a backup. If he's lucky, he might be a backup somewhere.
That's the thing. Like people were talking like, dude, they could have just stuck with Quinn Ewers. They could have stuck with Zach Wilson if they were just going to tank like this. Why give this quarterback money? Like, dude, the Dolphins have, I think it was $175 million this year in dead cap. Why the hell would you go out and pay a quarterback? What?
That's insane. That's a lot of money.
That's more than half their cap space. The cap's only like $301 million.
Yeah.
And I don't know if you saw this stat, Mo, but there's not a single player on the Dolphins roster right now, currently, that is making over $11 million a year. Not a single one. The highest paid player on that team is making $11 million. They're basically be filling that roster out with rookies and guys straight off the damn street.
They have a lot of picks though, Eddie. So I'll be interested to see what they do with the picks. Hopefully, they make some good decisions. Based
on what I heard, next offseason, they're going to have like close to $200 million in cap space.
Yeah, so see, that's probably what they're thinking, Eddie. Like they're going to get the quarterback.
We know they're tanking. Like they're going to have all this cap space next offseason. They're taking all of it this year. Not a single person on the roster is making over $11 million this year. And they got a bunch of draft picks. But again, if I was Malik Willis, I'd be so mad. I'd be like, you guys are clearly tanking. I'm trying to resurrect my career because, like, honestly, I don't think Malik Willis signs there. He could, like I said, he could have went to the Cardinals.
Yeah.
The Cardinals have a bunch of weapons. They got Wilson. They got Harrison Jr. They got McBride. They got a run game. They got a solid offensive line and kind of a solid defense. Yeah. He could have really shown what he was capable of out there with those weapons in that defense. Nope. So, if I was him, I'd be so mad, dude. Oh, my God. I'd be like, roll up the contract. I don't want to be here. Take the money back. I'll just go sign with the damn Cardinals. So.
Yeah, they tricked him for sure.
But I feel bad for Malik Willis personally. But with all that said, now me and Muhammad, we want to get into the division, the AFC West. So, we're going to go through each team. Talk about what moves they've made this offseason, what place we think each team is gonna, end up in first, second, third, fourth. We're gonna see which team. We're gonna tell you which teams we think are gonna finish in the division, where they finish in the division. So I'm gonna go from the bottom up. I'm gonna start fourth and then go up to first. But who I got coming in fourth place in this division this year is the Raiders. Don't get me wrong. They made some really good moves this offseason. They signed Clay Walker. It was Walker, the inside linebacker. They signed Kobe Dean. They signed Linderbaum, the center that came from Baltimore. And it looks like now they're probably going to wind up keeping Max Crosby because the Baltimore Ravens. Like, I hate the Raiders, but I hate that for them because they really thought they were going to be able to move on with Max Crosby and have that extra cap. They got enough to cover everybody, including Max Crosby. All the new free agents they signed, plus Max Crosby, they got enough money to cover it, but they were kind of counting on that money being off the books.
Exactly.
So it kind of screwed the Raiders.
No, the Ravens, that was dirty, Eddie. Definitely. Yeah. That's not a class move at all.
No, and this is probably going to hurt people wanting to trade with the Ravens in the future. Like, this really desperately hurt them if they ever want to trade with a team again.
Yep.
But the Raiders, I think, coming forward, they're going to have Crosby. They're going to have some good inside linebackers. You know, they're going to have a great center. They're kind of – Kubiak's kind of rebuilding that. They still got Genty and Brock Bowers. And, of course, everybody and their mama knows in this world they're going to draft Mendoza with the first overall pick.
Surprise, surprise.
But with this division the way it is, the three teams above them in this division, I truly believe the Raiders are going to be fourth place. What say you, Mohammed, about
I don't disagree, Eddie. I just think that I think the Raiders are going to be sneaky better than what everybody else thinks.
okay.
Yeah, not just because, you know, they're getting a quarterback. He's a good rookie quarterback, right? Good luck playing the Broncos, Mendoza. but I mean, you know, they got the running back, Eddie. They got the tight end. You know, they did well with the O-line. You know, their defense. You know, Crosby's coming back, so they're going to be decent. So I think it's going to be between them, and it's going to surprise you. It's going to be between them and the Chiefs. You know, I don't think the Chiefs. Yeah. So who knows? Who knows what's going to happen? But they actually, I hate to say this, Eddie, you know how I feel about the Raiders, but I think they're building really well, you know. So, you know, and just imagine if the trade for Crosby went through, they would have had an extra first round pick this season and next season. So, but yeah, fourth is reasonable, I think.
Yeah, well, I think regardless if they would have traded Max Crosby, yeah, they would have got the draft picks, or if they would have traded Max Crosby with, yeah, they get the extra draft picks, but they definitely wouldn't have been really competitive. I think with Crosby this year, I think you're right. They'd be more competitive. There's still a chance they trade Max Crosby, but they're not going to get what they were going to get from the Ravens out of him. They might get a first and like a second.
It might happen during the draft too, Eddie. Who knows?
Yeah,
we'll see.
It's possible he still gets moved, but I think either way, whether Crosby plays for the Raiders next year or not, they're going to be last place. Now, in third place, I got the Kansas City Chiefs. Yeah. I do. Because I don't know if you saw, which I'm sure you did, but who'd they trade for this offseason?
Justin Fields.
That tells me that they're preparing to start the season without Mahomes.
True.
And I said it before, he tore his Achilles in week 15 last year. He's not going to be back until October at the earliest. He's not going to be back.
Aren't you terrified that they traded for Justin Fields? Because I am a little bit.
No. We kick his ass every single time we see him. I am not scared of him.
Absolutely.
But also the other move, I don't know if you saw the other move the Chiefs made this year so far. They traded away their top corner and Trent McDuffie.
They did.
So, I'm not saying the Chiefs are rebuilding because that's insane to say because Patrick Mahomes is still in the books. He'll be back at some point this season. It's just what point at the season is he going to be back? Like I said before, if he's not back if the Chiefs are basically almost out of the playoffs, not maybe mathematically, but they're it's going to take a lot of stuff to, go their way. Like other things out of their control have to go their way for them to make the playoffs. I would just keep Patrick Mahomes out the entire year. I wouldn't risk him coming back. I'd be like, you know what, Patrick, just sit out the whole fucking year, get better, and then we'll be ready to go for 2027. But, yeah, Justin Fields coming in, they're trading their top corner away. Now, they do have, I believe, 2 first-round picks this year. The one is number 9. I think the other one's like a late-round pick. It's like high 20s or whatever. Mm-hmm. So, I mean, they could rebuild. They could get another corner. They could get – they're not probably going to go for running back. I think their top 2 picks, their 2 first-round picks, they're going to go after offensive line and probably a corner, if I had to guess, in the first round with those 2 picks. After that, I think they're going to work on their defensive line because they're getting older. A lot of their guys left on the defensive line. So, but as of right now, I got the Chiefs coming in third because, again, they traded the best corner away. Even if they get a top corner – it's probably going to be a year or 2 before the guy is actually somewhat as good as at least McDuffie was, in my opinion. And 2, they got to rebuild the offensive line. And 3, Patrick Mahomes is not going to be there by the start of the season. So I got the Chiefs coming in third. What do you think? Actually, let me get through the rest of the teams before, I ask you. I should have did that first, but I kind of screwed up. But in second place, now this is going to tip off who I have in first, of course. But in second place, I got the Los Angeles Chargers. And this ain't me because I'm a Broncos fan. It's because the Chargers literally didn't make a lot of any kind of moves in free agency. They didn't really trade anybody. They didn't really get anybody. They literally stood still in free agency. So I think, actually, didn't they sign one player? Who was it? I want to say they did. I want to say it was on the defensive side, but I can't remember who it was. But they got the same receiving core as last year. Now, they will get both their starting tackles back, who were both out last year. So they will get those back, but the receivers don't scare anyone. They don't have a tight end. They still got Marion Hampton, who I think was pretty solid last year, but he's got some work to do still before he becomes that starting type, running back. And their defense to me is just getting old as shit. They still got Khalil Mack, who's old. I mean, and Khalil Mack wasn't as effective last year as he was the previous year. Justin Herbert, he's another year old. I'm not saying he's getting bad, but, offensive line, I think their center. I think there was a center they brought in. They lost their starting center, and I think they brought in another center. I think that's what the move was. So they got a new starting center. And like I said, the defense is just getting older. So I feel like the Chargers, and honestly, I said it before, Jim Harbaugh is a good coach. He's not a great coach. He can build a team. He can get a team to the playoffs like he did last year. But, I mean, come on. Really? I'm sorry. Like I'm going to go back to – I'll go back to the Chiefs and Patrick Mahomes. I'll go back to Joe Burrow and the Bengals. Dude, the Chiefs, like that year they made it to the Super Bowl against Tom Brady and got their asses kicked. Throughout the playoffs, they didn't have any kind of their offensive line was riddled with injuries. Mahomes still got them to a Super Bowl. Granted, they lost, but they still got there. Same with the Bengals. Joe Burrow didn't have an offensive line that entire damn season. His offensive line was garbage. Still got them to a Super Bowl. And I don't care about their offensive line being back. I just don't think the Chargers are ever going to be able to win, especially in this division. They're not going to be able to do it. I'm sorry, they're not. Like, again, last year, the Chargers beat us when Justin Herbert and their starters were playing and their tackles were in there. But you know what? Again, they didn't beat us. We beat ourselves. Mm-hmm. We did. Like, the Broncos kept that game close. The Broncos, they don't make a few mistakes and they win that game. I mean, I know you can say that about any team, but personally, it's just like the Chargers really didn't beat us. It wasn't like, I want to say the Jaguars last year. The Jaguars actually kicked our ass last year. I went to that game. The Jags kicked our ass. We didn't lose that game. The Jaguars were just better and they whipped our ass. The Chargers and the Colts, the other two teams we lost to last year, they didn't beat us. We beat ourselves in those games.
Yep.
And I can say the same thing for the AFC Championship game. Patriots didn't beat us. We beat ourselves because our quarterback threw the ball backwards. He doesn't make that one mistake. We're probably in the Super Bowl with Jared Stidham last year.
Don't remind me, Eddie, please.
Well, sorry, but you get what I'm saying. Yeah. So I'm not worried about the Chargers. Jim Harbaugh does not scare me at all. He doesn't. Justin Herbert doesn't scare me. The Chargers don't scare me. And they haven't really made a whole lot of moves this offseason to say, hey, we're going all in. We're going to, go all in this year and we're going to win. So that leaves in first place.
Oh, yeah.
Right here, baby. Denver Broncos. And the reason why I say this is because the Broncos literally brought everybody back. They made the AFC Championship game last year, and they literally brought back everybody except for one player, and that's John Franklin Myers. We talked about it earlier. Yes, Dre Greenlaw, but Dre Greenlaw, they cut him, they let him go. And that's not the reason. The reason why is because, dude, we were kicking ass when Dre Greenlaw was out half the season, more than half the season. He was out. And we were still winning games. We were still dominating on defense. So, Dre Greenlaw, to me, losing him, that's not a big loss. The biggest loss on this team and on this defense was John Franklin Myers, in my opinion. That was the biggest one. And I feel like the Broncos with their second round pick this year, since they don't have a first, in the second round, they're going to go after defensive linemen. They have to. They got to get someone to fill that spot. But the Broncos, if you want to be technical, outside of the Raiders, are the only ones to make a real big splash play for a player to actually make this team better in trading for Jalen Waddle. The Chiefs, the biggest signing they had this year, Justin Fields, which is mostly him to come in and play until Mahomes is ready. The Chiefs, they brought in a backup freaking center, I believe. Or the Chargers, I'm sorry, brought in a backup center. The Raiders, outside of the Broncos, are the only team that actually brought in free agents that actually are going to be contributors day one.
Yep.
2 inside linebackers. They're bringing back Max Crosby. They brought in their starting center. So the Broncos, to me, making the AFC Championship game last year, could have won the Super Bowl. Bo Nix doesn't get hurt. Literally brought back everybody from that roster outside of John Franklin Myers, who I think they're going to replace in the draft. And they went out and brought in another big-time playmaker, Jalen Waddle. Please tell me how the Broncos are not going to win this division. They're going to beat everyone in this division. Like, I would not be surprised if the Broncos go 5-1 or 6-0 in the division this year. What are your thoughts, Muhammad? What teams do you have? You got the Raiders in fourth, but what's your ranking for the rest of them?
I agree with you, Eddie. I have the Chiefs going third just because Mahomes is hurt. He's not going to come back anytime soon. I don't think it's going to be a while before he comes back. Their team was terrible last season anyway, so even if he was playing, I would still it'll be like a toss-up between them and the Chargers. The Chargers are going to be second. Last season, I was kind of scared of the Chargers a little bit. They kind of made me nervous. But this season, Eddie, I'm not scared of anyone, honestly. Like, I'm not, especially now since we added Waddle. So, the way you had it set up, that kind of makes sense to me. Could the Chargers somehow take a step back, be worse than the Chiefs? Could be, but Raiders fourth, Chiefs are third, Chargers second, and then the Broncos won. That's about right.
Yeah, and like I said, the Chargers only brought in a backup center, basically. And I mean, they're probably going to be getting all their players in the draft. But again, you're going to be bringing in a bunch of rookies to, maybe not all the rookies are going to start. I'd probably say like 2 or 3 of the rookies out of this year's draft are going to be starting this year, and they're going to be rookies. They're going to be learning. Yeah. Like, it's going to take a minute for them to get caught up to speed. Like, it's like that with any team. The Broncos, Bo Nix, RJ Harvey, Pat Bryant. It takes a minute. But my thing is that the Chargers are not they're going to get their starting tackles back. Like I said, they'll get those guys back. But I'm not worried about it. Even whenever those guys were healthy last year when we played them, Bo Nix, Nick Bonitto and Jonathan Cooper were still getting after Justin Herbert in that first game we played them last year. I think they sacked him like 3 or 4 times in that game, even with their starting tackles in. So I'm not too concerned. Like, they really didn't do anything other than the draft yet to come. The Chargers really haven't done anything to get better. You don't think that playing against the Chargers this year with Jalen Waddle, knowing that the Chargers defense is going to have to either double team Sutton or freaking Jalen Waddle, that they're not going to get cooked? Like, you said it yourself. Like, usually I don't agree with Stephen A on a lot of things. There's some things I agree on, but most of the time I just agree he's funny to listen to because he makes fun of the Cowboys so much.
Yeah.
But he's right. Well, it was him. There was 2 people. I can't remember who the other one was, but Stephen A said, who's going to beat this Broncos team?
Yep.
With Bo Nix. If Bo Nix is healthy and stays healthy all year, who is beating this Broncos team? NFC or AFC? Who's beating them?
Yep.
I can think of maybe one team, and it's the current Super Bowl champions. Like the Seahawks, the Broncos have had trouble beating the Seahawks over the last 10 years. I feel like they're the only ones that would give us trouble because we beat the Eagles last year. Even the Jags. Maybe the Jags. Maybe. Because they gave us trouble last year. But other than that, I'm not really scared of nobody. And 2, who are the Broncos scared of? I don't think the Broncos are scared of anybody. Who was it? I think it was I think it was Broussard from First Thing First, Mohammed. He said this a couple months ago. He's like talking about when they were talking about the Chiefs after the Broncos beat the Chiefs and Patrick Mahomes earlier this year. He was talking about like, well, that mystique that the Chiefs have had for all these years. You know, people always going up against them and being like, oh my God, these are the Chiefs. It's Patrick Mahomes, Andy Reid, Travis Kelce. That mystique that people were scared of. He said something that I will repeat now, and that was ever since Sean Payton's been in Denver, he has not bowed to that Chiefs mystique. Even whenever they still had it, he did not bow to it. Even with Russell Wilson back there starting, he would not bow to it. Even with a rookie Bo Nix, he didn't bow to it. During the Chiefs, great runs. One of those years they won the Super Bowl, the first year with Russell Wilson, who's honestly a worse quarterback than Bo Nix. I'm sorry. I don't see it. No. The Broncos are not scared of fucking any team out there. They're not. And them going after Jalen Waddle proves that they are not fucking around. It is Super Bowl or bust for this team this year. This is the equivalent of the Broncos going all in to win the Super Bowl this year.
But let me ask you this, Eddie.
What's up?
Do you fear that our defense is going to take a step back, even if a little bit?
The one thing I think they're going to take a step back in is sacks.
Sacks, okay.
I don't think they're going to get close to 68 this year like they did last year. I think they'll probably get in like the 50s. Hell, maybe, high 50s, maybe low 60s. But I don't think they get up to 68 again.
Okay.
But I do know one thing. The fact that they're bringing this entire secondary back, Hufanga, Jones, Surtain, Moss, McMillan, Jahdae Barron.
Yeah.
Dude, you cannot throw on this defense last year. And honestly, if I had to guess, I want to talk about this too before we get out of here, Mohammed. There was a lot of rumors at the end of the season that the Broncos could, especially after they re-signed McMillan, they tendered McMillan and brought him back. There was talks of them trading Riley Moss and moving Jahdae out to the outside. Now, if that happens, I think there will be a little bit of a learning curve there for Jahdae. I mean, he's already got a year in the system, but he's going to be a full-time outside starter at that point. That might cause for some concern. But do you think the Broncos could possibly trade Riley Moss?
I don't think they do, Eddie, because even if you do trade him, what are you going to get for him? Like a third-round pick? You're not getting a second.
Possibly.
So I think it's not really worth it. Just keep bringing him back and let him play another year and just see what happens.
Well, because I think Riley Moss is up for a contract extension next year too.
Yeah.
Actually, I think he's up for one now, if I remember right. Because I think he was in the NFL for a year before Bo Nix got drafted. I think he got drafted in 23, Riley Moss.
Mm-hmm.
So he could be eligible for a contract extension now, but they're not going to give it to him.
So maybe this is a year for him to prove himself. I mean, I think he's a decent cornerback, Eddie. I think the referees be picking on him a lot, but overall he's very decent. He's a good starter. So
and that's dangerous too. Like you're right. This is a prove it year for Riley Moss. Like he's gonna go out there and play big. Like regardless if he gets that contract extension from the Broncos or another team, if he wants that contract extension, he's gonna have to play big this year to get that money. So it could be I wouldn't want to trade Riley Moss because you're right. He's in the contract year. He's going to have to play big to get that money, dude. And I think he's going to play like a freaking fish out of water. He's going to be playing with his hair on fire this year.
Good. We need that. Definitely need that.
Opposite, and if you got Riley Moss on the outside and Surtain on the other side and McMillan, who's a fucking beast in the slot, good luck throwing against this defense because you ain't going to do shit. And with that pass rush hitting home, doggy. But that moves on to my last question, Mohammed. With the trade for Jalen Waddle, this has been a big talking point over the past week since we traded for Jalen. Is there any receiver on this roster you think could be traded at any point the rest of this offseason?
I don't want to say it, Eddie, but maybe Troy Franklin. If I look at the wide receiver room, and I look at everybody that we has and, what they bring to the table, basically, as far as being a wide receiver, I think Troy Franklin might be in danger.
Well, We got Waddle. He's going to be our number one. He ain't going nowhere. Of course, we just traded him. I don't think Sutton's going anywhere. I think Sutton, this is probably his last year, and then they move on from him next year. But as far as Sutton ain't going anywhere this year. He's been your number one. Now he gets to move to, I think, to me personally, a number 2 spot, which is probably more comfortable and more suitable for Cortland Sutton at this point. He's better suited as a 2 behind Jalen Waddle. And then you still got Marvin Mims. I don't think he's personally going anywhere either. My boy Marvin, because he's a Pro Bowl punt returner, and he's in a contract year too. So I think just like Riley Moss, he's gonna play his heart out this year, regardless if it's on offense or special teams. He's gonna be looking for a contract extension, so he's gonna be playing his ass off. He's gonna be playing with his hair on fire this year, and so I don't think he's going anywhere. And Pat Bryant, they just drafted him last year, and I honestly believe, like I just said, I think Cortland Sutton's gone after the 2026 season. Like
he's going to be his replacement, yeah.
And if Pat Bryant's going to get a lot of playing time this year, I believe, because they're going to want to see what he can do. I'm not saying he's going to play more than Cortland Sutton or more than Jalen Waddle, but you're going to see quite a fair bit of him. Like that slot role where Troy Franklin's usually playing, you're going to see a lot more Pat Bryant in that role because they're going to want to see what Pat Bryant can do, see if he can be that next big body type receiver like Cortland Sutton. And if he starts showing that promise and getting better and better, they can move on from Cortland Sutton next year. And then going into like 2027, you get your wide receiver room. You can pay Mims. You have Mims as still as your returner and your receiver. You have Pat Bryant, your big body. You'll still have Waddle. And move on from Sutton. If I had to guess right now, and this ain't me saying it's going to happen, but I'm just saying, if they were going to move on from a receiver, I agree with you. I think it's Troy Franklin. Yeah. He was a 4th-round pick, and now how much would you get out of him, you think? A 4th? A 3rd? Would you get back what you paid for him, or would you get a little bit more, or a little bit less? What do you think, Mohammed?
Maybe a 5th or a 4th round. 4th round seems kind of fair, I think, Eddie.
Because he was drafted in the 4th round a few years ago.
So basically, we get what we got. We get back what we got. What we paid for him, basically. So
I think if there is a receiver they trade, it's going to be Troy Franklin. They're not getting rid of Pat Bryant because I 100% believe that is Cortland Sutton's replacement. Okay. They're not getting rid of Marvin Mims. He's a Pro Bowl type freaking returner. They're not getting rid of Jalen Waddle, a guy they just traded for. That's their speed demon. And they're not getting rid of Cortland Sutton. Because if they were to cut him right now or trade him, they would take a big dead cap, not like a big dead cap hit, but it would be less to get rid of him next offseason than it would be this season. And I figure they're probably figuring, we're going to keep Sutton for one more year, keep that continuity with him and Bo Nix one more year. Because they're going all in. Hell, it's a possibility they don't trade Troy Franklin or trade any receiver. Like you said with Riley Moss, they might not trade anybody. They're pushing their chips all in this year. They might just keep everyone and then make that decision next offseason. Because they could still like if everybody's progressing normally and fine by like the trade deadline this year, then maybe you can see Troy Franklin getting moved. Like, you know what? Yeah. Pat Bryant's he's really starting to play well. He's stepping up. Marvin Mims still being the same. Jalen Waddle is balling out. Cortland Sutton's having a good year. We can maybe get a 4th-round pick back for Troy Franklin. Boom. Trade him at the deadline. Get an extra pick. And then maybe next year they could be like, you know what? Maybe we can re-sign Marvin Mims and maybe sign Cortland Sutton to a 1-year deal. Maybe they might bring Sutton back. I don't know, but it just depends on what Pat Bryant does, honestly. So, and in this day and age, you really don't see more than 3 wide receiver sets.
Nope.
I mean, if you get rid of Franklin, it's like you still have Sutton, Waddle, Mims, Pat Bryant. And then after next year, if you decide you want to sign Mims and not keep Sutton, you still got 3 wide receivers. You'll probably go into the draft and grab somebody else.
Yep.
So, but that's what I think. And the biggest thing, sorry, I forgot to touch on this, but the biggest thing to me with the Broncos winning the AFC West this year, Mohammed, is the fact that the offensive line, everybody from the offensive line is coming back this year. I thought they were going to trade Ben Powers or maybe cut him when they signed Palczewski to that 2-year deal because he played so good last year during Ben Powers was out for like 2 months. But the fact that they're bringing back Garrett Bowles, Ben Powers, Wattenberg, Miners, and Mike McGlinchey, like this is going to be the third consecutive year in a row they got that same offensive line together.
Yep.
That consistency, man, I'm telling you, it works wonders. People think we're crazy. The Chiefs' offensive line's in shambles right now. You know, they got rid of their best offensive lineman last year. They just cut Jawan Taylor this year. Like, their best offensive lineman is their center. They don't know what they're doing at the tackle positions or at the guard position from getting rid of Thuney last year. Like, the guard they had this past year sucked. So, but yeah, that's my take. I think it goes Broncos first, Chargers second, Chiefs third, and Raiders fourth. This, to me, guys, like if you listen to the national media, they think the Broncos are going to finish third. That is no way in hell that is happening. The Broncos are the one team in the division outside, like I said, the Raiders, that have actually gotten better. And the reason why I said the Raiders are going to be in fourth is because I think they're going to have a rookie QB. They're still at least a few years away, if not at least at the bare minimum 1 year away from even making the playoffs, in my opinion. Not even competing for the division, just making the playoffs. So, but that's it for us tonight, guys. Mohammed, any final thoughts or comments before we get out of here tonight?
I just want to say, Eddie, I can't wait for the draft. I'm happy where the Broncos at. Want to see what they will do as far as like I said, the draft and stuff. But we're better. We're better than we were like last week. So
Yep. And we're the best team in the AFC West. Hell,
absolutely.
I'll go as far as the best team in the AFC. Hell,
yeah,
best team behind the Seahawks in the NFL.
We'll see how they look this year. So
yeah,
might be better.
Well, they lost Kenneth Walker, so they might take a step back in the run game. I mean, I like Dak Charbonnet, but we'll have to see what happens. But that's it for us tonight, guys. Thank you for joining us tonight. We'll be back next week to talk more football. We'll probably talk more about other things going on in the NFL, other teams, go through every division, and give our thoughts on those. Here in the next couple of weeks, we might be doing a mock draft. I know it's going to probably not be that great because, I mean, it's mostly just going to be for the Broncos, but it's like the Broncos don't have a first-round pick. So it's going to be fun to do, though. But if you guys could please like, comment, subscribe on this video. Also hit that bell notification so you know we go live. Mohammed, great talking with you, man. Can't wait until next week and can't wait until the draft.
Likewise, Eddie. Go Broncos.
All right. Thank you, guys. Peace.